Hello and good morning. It is July it is July 21st. Sorry about that. And we are going to be in 2 Kings today, chapters 2 and 3. And one of my favorite stories is actually in this section of Kings. It is in 2 Kings. It starts in verse 22, and it is about the prophet Elisha. At this point, he has taken over for Elijah, who was his mentor, and another prophet of Israel. Now, they were both kind of big names, big wigs. Everyone really respected them. And you hear about them a lot, even in the New Testament. And in this story, it is both kind of humorous and kind of sad at the same time. Because Elisha happened to be traveling, and while he was traveling, some kids came out and started making fun of him. Because, unfortunately for Elisha, he kind of had a bit of a problem opposite to mine of he didn't have much hair on his head. And so he was being made fun of by the kids saying, "Hey, Baldy, get out of here." And so in anger, he calls down a couple of she-bears to come and maul all the children to death, and then he carries on his way. I would say that's not one of the finer points of one of the prophets of Israel. And at the time of this recording, we're currently in the series called Hall of Flaw, which I would say Elisha fits in pretty well because he obviously struggled with a little bit of anger management there because he was being made fun of by some kids, that he felt the need to call down a she-bear to come and maul them to death. And I know that sounds a little extreme, but how often have we done something similar where we struggle with our anger sometimes, and we then immediately lash out and say things to people that we didn't really want to say to them, but we were so angry and mad at that point that we couldn't help ourselves and stop ourselves from saying things that we ended up regretting later. I know I definitely have been there before when I worked a job in a tire shop. I definitely said lots of things to my coworkers I definitely should have not said. And I'm sure some of you have been in that same boat. We have been just like Elisha, where we struggle with our anger, where we can't help but get mad at certain situations or certain people because of things they do, whether it be we're driving on the highway somewhere and we get cut off, or we're doing 5 over in the city and you get a guy driving by you at 100 miles an hour, honking at you and saying mean things because they think you aren't driving fast enough, even though you're going faster than you're supposed to in the first place. And we get angry back. We all have these moments where we forget that we are people of God and we're supposed to show love and grace to those around us, and we lash out with anger, which is a hard thing to sometimes admit to yourself. I know I definitely had a hard time admitting to myself that I had struggled with this just like Elisha did after I had quit my job at the tire shop. It took me a long time to realize that I had become a much angrier person than I once was. And it took a lot of time with God and a lot of time of self-reflection and going, man, this isn't the way how God calls me to live. He calls me to show love, grace, and patience with those around me, which is such a harder thing to do because when you pray for patience, God gives you opportunities to be patient, not to be patient. And so it took a very long time to learn how to be patient, which is something Elijah struggled with himself. But I promise you that if you start working on it, God will give you moments and give you patience that you wouldn't expect to have in certain situations. So as you go through your week this week, just take a step back and ask God for patience or for opportunities to be patient so you can continue to improve and show the love of God to all of those around you. But until next time, church, you are sent.